Nice try, Travis.
And that right there, everybody watching, is what I get when I get in the van every night after gigs.
No.
Jen looks over. Maybe. She looks over at me. She kind of goes, nice try, Trav.
No, right? I know what you were trying to do there. That's all I'm getting at.
Well, I heard you, so I was trying to follow you, but then I was trying to incorporate, this whole thing into that.
Right.
I got confused.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hey.
Hello. Welcome to Saturday night outside the inn, everybody. We are the Travis Larson Band. No special guests tonight, no surprise guests, nothing specific planned. There's a few topics that I'd like to cover, but nothing nothing crazy is going to happen unless you guys interject something that makes it crazy. But I see people starting to check in here. It always warms my heart because I got to say, I put the feed up and I sit there and I watch for a minute, and there's like no comments for a couple of minutes, and you think to yourself, is anybody going to watch tonight? Is anybody hanging out with us? I see Chuck and Mike and Sam and Danny and Glenn Hensman, of course. He's always hanging out with us. Good to see you, Glenn. He says, haven't seen a thumb piano since he saw Taj Mahal. A thumb piano, is that like the way I was playing it or the actual size of the piano?
Oh, that's the kalimba I was playing.
Oh, you were playing. I see. I couldn't see you because I was running around.
Yeah.
So what did you have? Show me what you were playing.
Oh, it's a repeat instrument. I've been trying to not repeat instruments, but I was in a big rush tonight.
Big rush.
And so I grabbed the thing just sitting closest to me.
Sam says, great t-shirt. Happy birthday, Neil Peart.
I'm grabbing this other camera real quick because it's actually, I can't turn it down all the way. It doesn't let me turn it down all the way. So I have to, here, this is what you guys look like to me.
Oh, nice.
I can't turn that down all the way, so I'm going to disconnect it so that it's not causing an echo. Anyway, yes. So Neil Peart's birthday today, and some people might have seen the post by his brother Danny Peart, who was wearing a Rush shirt and said, he was asking everybody that cared to wear a Rush shirt today to commemorate Neil's birthday. So I'm all over it.
I got my blah, blah, blah shirt on. I have like 5 Rush shirts, and this was the only one I could find.
Can you show it to us or no? Or are you like locked down?
Nice. That's a good shirt. The Alex Lifeson acceptance speech reference.
Right.
And Dale doesn't care.
Yeah, I became aware of this yesterday, and I just realized I have not a single Rush shirt. There was a multi-person effort around town trying to swoop one up somewhere, like at the local record store, but none to be found. Oh well, I can't
imagine
I could have
that.
One if I could have found any of them. I don't know where all of my Rush shirts are right now.
Yeah, but then you'd never be able to wear it again. It'd be all like stretched out.
Well, I've got like 32 extra larges. They're all too big for me. So
it didn't even occur to me. I was just thinking, well, yeah, Travis isn't going to fit me, but it would. We always just to wear extra large everything.
Now you guys are all hip and such.
Yeah, now we were Lord.
Yeah. So Neil's birthday today. Happy birthday, Neil. I believe he would have been 68. I believe. I think that's right. So that here's something interesting that came of that. I think I knew this at one time, and then I kind of forgot. But Neil's brother, he actually has a YouTube channel, and he does a bunch of poetry and stuff. And so, because he posted that picture that asked everybody to wear the shirt today, I went down the Neil's brother rabbit hole, and then I found videos that I was sending. I think I sent it to you too, Dale, but I sent it to Jen, and I said, check this out. It's basically sounds like Neil if he had never smoked a cigarette in his life.
Right.
Like his brother sounds just like him, like in 1988. If you hear him talking, he's got a little bit of that Canadian accent, but the voice and the inflections are all there. It's kind of weird. It's a little surreal to hear him talk, especially reciting poetry, which is something that you would be very comfortable hearing Neil do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mike Stone wrote, write Rush on some paper and tape it to your shirt. Mike, I spent the 7 minutes before air trying to get a Rush logo to print, and for some reason I do this all the time. It wouldn't print. I was stymied in my efforts. So
right.
I heard that Phil's volume could come up a little bit. We neglected to actually sound check during sound check.
Yeah, your volume could come up a little, Dale.
Oops, I lost you guys for a minute.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So I did that a little bit.
Just
Tell me
a
if
hair.
you think that's enough.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Okay. I had already done it. I'd seen that comment.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see if that works.
Gotcha. I think Jen's voice just cuts more.
Right.
Sorry.
I have a mumbly voice.
Sorry. I'll try to speak low and mellow.
No, don't do that.
Here, I'm just looking through here. Jennifer, a question for you from Sam. In the band videos in your jam room, there is a beautiful Les Paul. What year is she? Do you know?
No. I think it's a 1980. I'll have to double check that.
Okay.
It's not officially belonged to me. I'm renting her. So I will find out what year that.
What's funny about that? You say it doesn't really belong to you. I decided if I wasn't going to be able to get the portable camera going for the keyboard thing, I was going to play one of your basses tonight, and everybody was said, where'd you get the bass? So there's a mishmash of spread out instruments throughout, our domains. Danny says, will you be restocking any of the t-shirts on the website? Actually, that came up earlier this week too with Boyd. Yes, eventually we will be restocking some of the t-shirts, but right now there's not enough demand for them to put any money into manufacturing, since we're more concerned with being able to just buy food. So the truth is the Moore's Circle TLB shirts, we really liked those, the ones that we had out for the 20th anniversary and the last couple tours. And we want to repress those eventually, but we're going to have to wait until we're going back on the road to do it, because then we know we'll actually sell them. And selling 2 or 3 on the internet isn't going to pay for the pressing costs, unfortunately. So, but it'll happen eventually. As far as old albums go, we haven't done that yet. I don't know if that's something we would do unless it was like an album anniversary, maybe something like that.
Album t-shirts?
Yeah.
I thought you meant just old albums in general, and I was going to say, we have tons of those laying around, so.
Oh, yeah. We got plenty of old albums.
Right.
I got these ones, where I'm on the beach as like a baby in my underwear, Oh, you meant record albums.
Bruce says, did Dale suddenly go gray? Not suddenly, my friend.
Dale does sound quiet to me.
Oh, okay. Here, let me bump myself up. Is that any different? Is that different? Hello, check. Hello, check. Test.
Well, say more. Travis, say something also.
Check.
Hello. My name is Travis Larson.
Check. Test.
I'm checking.
Hello. Check. Test.
Yeah, they don't sound slow. Well, all right, whatever.
Okay. Well,
That's because he's probably got the processing on and it's probably leveling it for him. But you could try turning that off, Dale. But I don't know if we want to spend
yeah
the whole time checking.
Yeah, Sky Baker says, Dale, speak up.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
Steve says you can come way up.
Huh, okay.
You have to say something for us to know.
I know. Well, okay, Travis was suggesting I do it, I thought. Are you trying to make an adjustment, Travis?
No, I'm making no adjustments whatsoever.
Yeah, okay. So I've never tried to adjust the settings in this program. I've only done Zoom.
I don't think I'm the only one here that would be. I think we would all agree that I'm fairly well adjusted.
Just turn up your input level like you always do during sound check.
Okay,
I've doubled it in the last discussion and it hasn't made an impact. So is this?
There you go. Now it's making an impact.
It suddenly broke through.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm not distorting or anything.
That's all right.
Okay.
It's all right. So I just saw Ronnie Lee post a thing here. She says, "Give us a quick tutorial on the Facebook thing." Okay, so Ronnie, here's the deal. The reason, so I'm glad you're here, Ronnie, because I saw Ronnie was live streaming earlier. Ronnie and Jules were streaming earlier, talking about this whole thing, and that's kind of so how this. It kind of came up over the last 2 days, but maybe, I don't know, yesterday or the day before. I'm losing track of days because it doesn't matter anymore, right? But sometime in the last couple of days, somebody posted a thing on Facebook saying, basically it was an article, and the article was somewhat ambiguously saying that on October 1st, they're going to change all the rules on Facebook and they're going to cut down and kill the ability for many musicians to live stream live performances, the kind of stuff that, Larry does and I've been doing occasionally and that sort of thing. And so I posted that because I saw it initially and I was kind of like, well, somebody probably knows more about this than I do at this point. So I posted it. And of course it just started the crap storm of speculation where everybody just goes, screw Facebook, this is outlandish and all that stuff that people do. And then I made a phone call to a mutual friend of the TLB here, which I'm going to leave him out of this because I'm throwing anyone involved with any kind of technical company, including Facebook, to the wolves if I put their name out there, because everybody hates all of them. But this guy was very, very, he knows what's going on. He's like up there. So he said the basic gist is that they've come up with these rules where they're basically going to vet people that are live streaming licensed content from other people that they don't own the licenses. So like if you're doing a live stream of, like a Rolling Stones concert or a U2 concert, just for an exaggerated example, that's not cool. You can't do that. It doesn't mean you can't go on there and play your own songs on a live stream. Obviously, we've seen some issues with some of the bots that sort this stuff out and find the audio automatically when they hear you playing songs. When I did my first live stream, I was playing to my own backing tracks from the TLB here. And because of that, it recognized a bunch of stuff. And on the first live stream I did, it shut me down on some songs and actually removed them. And then in subsequent live streams, it's given me a choice where it basically just takes any of the Facebook legalities out of it so that they are not responsible. And they say, if you feel you are the rightful owner of this material, then check here or something along those lines. And so that's what I've been doing ever since, and I haven't had a problem. Similar to the way YouTube works. So they just posted another thing, I guess, recently where everybody started freaking out about it, but it wasn't Facebook that posted it. It's all these press outlets that are getting the story and then putting it out there saying vague, random, over the top things like Facebook shuts down streaming musicians. And so this is what I think Ronnie was exposed to and what I was initially exposed to. And you look at it and you kind of go, I see what they're saying here. And I think that was based off of some early verbiage that Facebook posted that was way too vague and not nearly clear enough. But what they were really trying to do is just cut down on licensing infringement problems where people are streaming other content. If you're a DJ and you're going to go on and do a live stream and just play other people's music, that's probably not okay. If you're Travis Larson and you're going to go live stream and play Travis Larson songs, it should absolutely be okay. The only reason it might be a problem is because their stuff would recognize it, but it's not going to cause a problem. So, hey, I see Jason Allen Kripon here. That's our man up in Oregon who puts on the Guitar Into the Stars Festival when that's able to happen. And Jason knows as much about this stuff as I do. We have long talks about all the craziness ensuing in the world. But for instance, this would be one of those kinds of discussions that we would talk about with copyright infringement on live streams and stuff like that. So I believe Ronnie and everybody else that really cares that everybody is fine. It's not a thing. I posted a link in the post on my page as an addition to that page that down in the comments that tells you kind of it's an updated article from Facebook itself, because obviously they started getting a huge slap back where everybody was coming down on them saying you can't do this, and they put out an updated article basically explaining what they really means and what they really were trying to do so that everybody doesn't freak out. So I think everything's cool unless you're trying to play, somebody else's material illegally, which I know that's all kind of a iffy subject too. But at the end of the day, as a guy that puts out records, if you're trying to give me exposure, I totally get it. And it is just what it is with platforms like this, unfortunately. But, you can't really do much about that and then come down on something like Spotify and say, you can't have my music without my permission. So it's such a weird, complicated issue, but it's not an issue that's going to keep people from playing. If you're a singer-songwriter that normally plays a coffee house and you want to stream your music on Facebook, you don't have to worry. That's my understanding. So, yeah.
So in partial defense of the people freaking out, like what you did is the thing to do, which is call
the guy that runs it at Facebook.
But even I remember thinking, I saw a lot of, comments that, well, this is vague and it's unclear. And the article I read was neither vague nor unclear. It was dead on. What it said was you're not going to be able to do music broadcasts of copywritten music. And it sounded like you weren't even going to be able to do your own. They wanted no part of any of it. And then I realized, oh, this is not information Facebook put out. This is something somebody else was characterizing Facebook's comments. And so
yes,
it was super confusing at first when I read it, because there was no misinterpreting it, except it wasn't Facebook saying it. So you're right to have dug into what is Facebook actually saying about this.
Vincent brings up a good point that I can also explain. He says, in that case, they should shut down Spotify too. Musicians make nothing, and that's their music. So I wish I could say you're right, Vincent, because morally you are. But here's the thing with Spotify. And for instance, Amazon.com is a similar issue, but not quite as lame as Spotify. It's so big that we do have the choice to pull ourselves off of there. But it's one of those things where is it better to be on there and seen versus not? And Amazon is a similar issue with selling your products on Amazon.com, where they give you such a little amount of money for your products by the time you get through that and the shipping of the products to them and all that stuff. You don't really make much off of shipping through Amazon, but everybody buys everything from Amazon. So is it better to have somebody who found you only on Amazon buy your CD than not buy your CD and you make like $1 off of it instead of $10? It's probably better that at least one more person becomes a fan, So that's kind of the way Spotify is. We make 0.002 cents a play on Spotify or something like that, but we're on there with, a million other artists, and it's if you see this band live, a lot of kids or people that are of the age that's what they're going to do. The very first thing they're going to do is go on Spotify and try and find you. And if that's the outlet they find you on, and that's how they get to your website and whatever it is, then I guess it's better than it not being on there. I don't know. Jen, what do you think? She's my partner in this record company thing for the last 25 years.
Don't get me started. I mean, we come from the old school days when there was, granted it was sort of the end of it, but there was such a thing as record deals and records and CDs and before all of this streaming internet music. And so to watch what it's turned into, it's just, I don't know. But yeah, like you're saying, at some point you kind of have to go with the flow. Otherwise you're limiting something. And that's just the way things are going. That's why live performance was such a big deal for us specifically.
Yeah. And now it just doesn't happen right now.
What's that?
I say is a big deal. It's just not happening right now.
Right. That's why I said what. But
hey, not to throw a monkey wrench into this, but when you get a chance, check how your microphone is routed. I realize we didn't sound check.
Yeah, you sound like you're the room.
Why did we not sound check during sound check?
I know we were trying to talk about what we were going to talk about, all this music business stuff.
Talking about rush shirts.
Talking about Dale didn't have a rush shirt. We were trying to find him some tape. That's what happened.
Yeah, my microphone. Okay, hang on.
So this is an inside look at what Soundcheck would look like if you were here with us before the show, folks.
Totally.
Jen would click around on her computer and then the microphone would work.
How's that sound?
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Way better. Yes.
It's like a broadcaster now.
We should have brought it up sooner.
I can hear you.
What?
I can't hear you.
You got to set the output for whatever.
Okay, I have to go. I'll be back.
Okay. I was interested in what she was saying. Yeah, it sounds like, Trav, you're saying, given the current set of choices, you're better off being on Spotify than not being on Spotify. And I feel like some of the perspectives coming our way are that Spotify's lame compared to what, used to be out there for the plays that you would get.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if, I guess it's better to have, they always say the exposure. Can you hear us now?
I still can't hear you.
You're setting the output?
That's not okay.
Can you hear us now?
Hang on.
Hello. I'm moving my mouth a lot so she can tell I'm speaking. See? Hello.
Okay,
Hello?
there you are.
All right.
Cool.
Yay.
Yay.
I was
Let's
interested in what you were
next
saying,
time.
though. Yeah, right. So
that's what soundcheck looks like for the layman.
That's a nice boom, boom, boom. You were mid thought talking about live performance being the main avenue.
I don't know. We can't even manage to sound check on a live stream. How are we gonna?
We're losing it, man. We've been off the road since January. We're losing our groove, man.
Yeah. Imagine what setting up next time is going to be like.
Oh my god. Where does this cable go?
It's been 3 years since I've seen my guitar rig.
Those chops go faster than performance chops. The setup chops, where you're oh crap! Yeah. I hooked my stuff up the way I used to do it, and I have to unplug it and redo
it. Right.
So I had a comment here just on a side note that we should touch on. How are you guys doing with the fires? Scott asked, and The fires are not actually a danger to us, so we're totally safe, but it is miserable. Like it feels like for anyone that was in California, for anyone that's old like me, and they remember Mount St. Helens, like we had ash raining down on us from thousands of miles away. It kind of feels like that because there's no fire around the corner, but there's ash raining down on the vehicles and stuff.
And those pictures you might have seen of the orange sky and kind of dark, it's a lot like that on certain days here.
Yeah. Hey, Jen, drop your speakers down a hair.
Dang it.
I will kill a couple of minutes with a story. Oh.
If that echo continues, I'm going to start doing my Vince Scully impression. It's backpack night here at the Dodger Stadium.
Is that better?
Yes.
You guys have to talk for you to figure out if it's better.
Yeah, right. Hello. Check.
Yeah. It's
I can
it's okay.
it.
It's still there a hair, but it's not bad. See, here's what for the people
I'm not going to be able to
too.
hear you again just for turning down so much. Okay.
That's why I'm wearing these.
Check. Test. Hello.
It's fine.
Hello?
It's fine. People don't mind. They want to hear us twice.
Well, speaking of fires, last Saturday I was broadcasting from my uncle's deck in Humboldt County. If you're not from California, Humboldt County is really Northern California. You think of San Francisco, you hear it called Northern California. I get to San Francisco and I drive another 5 hours. It's 300 miles north of there. So I'm in real Northern California, and there's a lot of fires around the state, and I really haven't kept track of what's going on, but basically it's a 9-hour drive if you don't stop, or if you stop once for gas. So I left on Monday to come back to San Luis Obispo. Record heat, by the way. So it was just, I'm driving, I get about 3 hours south of Eureka, and I had heard from my sister, who was an hour ahead of me on the road, that there was a small town on the Highway 101 called Willits that was on fire. And she said, it's scary looking, but the road's open and we made it through. Just be aware. And I, about 10 minutes earlier, and I would have made it through, but they closed Highway 101, which is, interstate through the whole state, and turned us all around. And up in this, they basically call this the redwood curtain. A lot of redwoods up there and mountains and hills, not a lot of data reception. So there was no way to find information. So I start calling Travis and say, hey, they're evacuating this town. I got right about the time they stopped me. I saw my phone say 1,000-acre fire. The words aggressive and fast were used, and 0% contained. And we just had a fire in California last year where people, they just couldn't outrun it. They were caught in their cars. And so I was right at the beginning of this. So I know that if I turn around and try to get away from this, I want some distance between me, but 5 minutes on the highway and I will have zero information. So I'm torn between information and getting away from this fire that I can see the plume of smoke in the close distance. And so yeah, Trav and my sister and Stephanie were giving me information about road closures and everything. And it was an adventure. So I basically sat there looking at the road, because as soon as you see the traffic slowing down, it's kind of too late too. Then you're stuck in this gridlock. So I sat there planning my next move, and I know where the coastal highway is, and I got to that, and that eventually became the move. The official move in California was to go down Highway 1, but this is just sea cliffs and 30 mile an hour, no barrier, fall 200 feet into the ocean kind of road. Mm-hmm. So one of the main corridors in California was on this road with logging trucks and RVs that shouldn't have been on it, but didn't know they shouldn't have been on it. So they can't make these hairpins, and then they're stopped, and people are trying to help them through this whole thing. It was a 15-hour adventure to get home, but it actually worked out, and I was happy to get home. As long as I get home before the sun comes up, as a vampire. I was talking to Travis on the phone at about 3 a.m. going, I'm fine, man. I'm going to get back at 5:30. When's the sun come up? When does the sun come up? I don't want to see the sunrise. That's all I care about.
I don't have this set up for screen, but this is the picture Dale sent me of Highway 1.
Yeah. That was as soon as I popped out onto the coast. You can't see the ocean right on the right, but yeah, it was just, I got it to the Highway 1 and felt like, man, I was way out in front of this. I was one of the first people who made this decision. And, but it just couldn't handle the vehicles that were on it. So it just turned into stopped traffic and bumper to bumper frustration for everybody.
I was on the phone with Dale through this on and off because it was cutting in and out too, because there's not much service up there, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So he would call me and he, you'd have like 2 minutes and it'd be like, tell me if this road's clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I wanted to know also.
So I'm looking at the maps, like trying to find if it's red,
Yeah. And I was so far on the leading edge of this that there was no, even the traffic in Travis's GPS, I couldn't look at my own GPS but right. Somehow I'd either get a text signal or I would get a phone signal, but it didn't even show the traffic yet. And they were already calling for the evacuation of the town. And, so yeah, there was just this long moment of, well, I'll go Highway 1, but if there's fires there I don't know about, or if this fire spreads west, and I know what Highway 1 is like, and this is a stupid thing to say, but honestly, at least I'll be close to the water.
Yeah. So for people that don't know, every car commercial that you see filmed on cliffs in America is filmed on Highway 1 pretty much. It's like when you see rocks out in the ocean and a car's driving along the coast, that's all Highway 1 off of the California coast. And so it's not meant for trucks. In fact, I don't even think trucks are generally legal in parts of that, or there's signs that it's not the preferred truck route. So Dale's out there with like semis and logging trucks that can't even make some of these hairpin turns.
What I read was that RVs over 40 feet weren't even allowed on this, and they just didn't know. And I was less mad at them than I just felt bad for them. There are hairpins where you're just a drop off, and there's an RV trying to make room for a semi, and the semi probably has a competent driver. The RV may or may not. No fault of their own. They didn't know they were going to end up in this, and they're trying to make room, and they're scraping the top of their RV into the rock cliff. And then the logging truck. I was behind a logging truck that both wheels of one of its axles was just over 200 feet of nothing. But he knew it. He was looking. He knew exactly what was going on. And meanwhile, people are trying to make room on the other side, and they're accidentally tipping into the cliff trying to make room, and now they're stuck. And it was just hairpin after hairpin where people would get out of their cars and negotiate it with flashlights and stuff. It was and I think by about 3 or 4 hours into that section, a lot of those people selected themselves out and they just pulled over, and then we were moving. But anyway, so that's my fire story in California. I came upon one right as it was starting, and I don't tend to be an alarmist about stuff like that, but we've heard a lot of stories lately about just fast moving fires, and you can't really gauge the alarm because unless you see open flames nearby, people don't panic, but it may be a panic situation. It's hard to say.
Right.
Do you know which fire that was? The name of it?
I think they're calling that the Oak Fire. It's in the town of Willits, and I think it's called the Oak Fire, if I remember right.
Okay.
It's like one of 100 fires. When you look at you can go to a site in California and look at the map of the fires and the whole Western, everything. And it's just crazy. It's just speckled with red. Like there's these little fires they put wherever and it's crazy. And it all started because of that whole lightning storm, that was right before last week, where it was this standalone little storm that me and Kip were literally watching. And it was
there's a lot cool. There's a lot of new causes now. There's an arson situation, and there's another like accidental situation. So there's that lightning form. But what you said is true. It all did start from that situation.
Right. So jumping back, just to keep it fast paced and interesting, like we do. Right. Tracy asks on the previous subject, I would like to know how much you make off of one CD. I can listen the fuck out of a CD 1 million times. How much do you make off Spotify or Apple or whatever? Well, they're very different. So, unless she's talking about the streaming Apple, but if you buy a CD off of iTunes or off of Bandcamp, like actually buy them, then we do pretty well. So say you pay $1 a song, I think we make like 93 cents a song. So if you buy a song on iTunes for $1, they take, like whatever percentage that is. It's like almost 10% or something. If you listen to it on Spotify or any streaming things where you're not actually like downloading it and you're keeping it as yours, it used to be 0.002 cents, like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Might even be less than that now. I'm not sure. I heard somebody say
Yeah.
0.007 recently, but I don't know if that's true.
It's 002 or 007. In either case, it's not very much.
Yeah.
That's
So we're not saying about a cent. We're talking about 0.002 cents. Like,
so in 1,000
Right.
listens, you get 2 pennies.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and what's disheartening about that is we actually get, like we'll get a little bit of grocery money every quarter from the live streams. And you realize, although it's not much money, there's so many plays. Like that's how many people are listening, which is phenomenal. It's kind of amazing. If you get a check for $100, how many people had to listen to that for that money, right? I mean, like,
Right.
So if this was 1985, we'd all have that castle with the snow dogs like Rush did, right?
We'd all be wearing gold-plated diapers.
We'd all be wearing gold-plated diapers, yes. So I hope that answers your question. So to add purpose to your question, Tracy, the best way you can support the band is if you're going to download things, you can download them from Bandcamp or iTunes or something similar to that, where say you actually download the record for $10 or $1 a song or whatever it is, or you order the hard copies. That's the best way. And if you're going to order the hard copy, order it straight from the website if you can, and not Amazon.com.
I see a lot of people saying that in our comments too. So we appreciate people being hip to that from the artist's perspective.
Yeah, and I know it's much. It's obviously more convenient to listen to music on devices. We all do. But I also own all the CDs. I actually like a wall of CDs. I like the thing, but again, I'm from a different generation, so. Gino says, Dale, you still could if you had a proper cowbell guy.
Gino.
Gino is the cowbell guy.
Yes. Yep.
True.
Jen, do you have a joke?
Yeah. I totally do.
What key is that microphone in?
Sorry. What's big and gray and doesn't matter?
Well, I come up with a lot of probably not nice answers to that, but
not one.
And irrelevant.
That's good.
A what?
That's a good one.
An irrelevant. All right.
Somebody said Adrian Legge always described we're talking about the returns on streams as nano pennies. That's pretty good.
I can hardly hear you guys because you made me turn down so low my speakers.
Sorry.
So if I'm a little like out of it, it's because I'm like, what? What did you say?
Put your dealy wobs in.
I'd rather just suffer.
Right. Jen doesn't like to play with the technology.
Something to talk about. I came back from taking my interface up to the Great Northwest, and I came back and put it back in my rig exactly as I had it configured before. And I was all distorted, and my whole gain structure was thrown off when I came back to teach on Tuesday. So that was fun. We're probably going through some of that right now.
Just real quick, I'm going to, I know later on it'll be hard for people to find because the feed gets long. So if you wanted to grab it now and copy it, I'm going to post the article I found that was actually hipped to me by Ted. Help me, Jen.
Teddy Kumpel.
Teddy Kumpel. Yes, thank you. Sorry, I was having a brain fart. Teddy Kumpel sent me this yesterday, and it explains the whole Facebook issue a little more clearly, I believe. So there's that. Sam says road story time. Okay, Sam, here's the deal.
Everyone's
first of all,
"We're bored."
first of all, Lori says, Jen, is your photo book still available? Yes,
Yes.
it's absolutely still
It is.
available. And if you go to the
Hi,
TLB
Lori.
merch page, you can find that. I'm going to throw that in the feed right here too. And then I do have a road story that I've sort of told before, but I didn't have evidence, I don't think. If I did, I apologize, but we don't remember. So we're going to get into it.
Yeah, if this is a redundant experience, you guys can refresh us.
Yeah. But first of all, here, I'm posting right now the merch link for Jen's book and all other TLB cool stuff. So you can go check that out. It's also, all the links are also in the description of this actual webcast. If you check out the description of the webcast, we've got all the support TLB links in there as well. So, okay. So I've mentioned before, Jen and I went to Shawshank prison once. Does anybody? So I don't know if anybody. You may have heard the story, but I don't know if you've seen the evidence. So
we've discussed it.
Yeah. So this was I think a duo clinic tour that we were on. That's why Dale wasn't there. He was
No,
probably
I was there. I was doing an interview back at home and missed this whole outing.
Oh, so it was a band tour?
Yeah, we were at Chris and Kim's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dale stayed behind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Doing a rock star interview.
It's actually called the Mansfield prison.
Correctional facility or something like
correctional, that. Something or other.
Yeah.
But it's just for historical reference.
Right. So Jen and I took this trip. It was only like 2 hours away or something like that. And you just drove out in the middle of nowhere through the fields of Ohio. And I am looking this up right now. Here it is. So I'm just going to use this as photographic evidence while we talk about it. You don't need to hear this. But so we drove out to Mansfield. Here, let me blow this up. And unlike California, there are no rules at this prison. It's basically just a shutdown prison. And it's exactly as it was in the movie, except more run down because it gets cold every year and the paint peels off of the walls and stuff. So it's actually creepier out there now. But there it is.
And lead paint, I might add.
Lead paint, yeah. But like I was about to say, so unlike California, there's no rules there. You pay $7 and you can go anywhere you want all day long with no supervision. And there was 2 other people there, maybe, in the whole place. And we went there on a weekday, I think. And it's not like a big tourist destination. I don't think people really know about it. So we went to all the places from the movie. We went to Andy Dufresne's cell. You can see how crazy run down and creepy it is in this footage versus.
Yeah.
And it was a real prison that was active until around 1990, I believe. And so.
Oh, really? That late?
That late, yeah.
Oh,
they shut it down.
I didn't realize that.
It was only shut down a little while before they did the movie there, which is why they found it as a movie location for Shawshank Redemption. And it's incredibly creepy being in this place. When you think about the movie, it's cool. When you think about it being a real prison, it's creepy. Like there's an eeriness to it that we were both tripping out on. I remember, Jen, because you were thinking about how many thousands of people lived in this place, right?
I definitely was very affected by certain parts of this complex, and others not as much, but certain places I was like, yep, I got to get out of here. Something not so good.
Yeah. Well, by the way, that's the Red was here and Brooks was here. You see that? Can you guys see my pointer, by the way?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So this was supposed to be in a hotel room in the movie, but they actually shot it in an empty office in the prison itself, just because it was an available location when they were filming this. So they made it like it was Brooks's bedroom in this halfway house, but it was actually at the prison, and it's actually a real room at the prison. And then this is the office where the warden was, which is still there. And there's the safe, and it's a real safe. And inside the safe, I think they actually left. Was that, I can't remember if they had like that Bible in there, maybe, Jen. They had something from the movie still in there, I believe, just so you could check it out. But I mean, again, it's just right there. There's no supervision to any of this. Like, it's a comment on two things. One is people are cool enough not to like screw with stuff, and they don't have safety rules.
There's a big hole.
Oh yeah, that's right. Here, let me go back to that too. Yeah, that's the hole that he climbs through. What was it, like however many yards, rivers of shit?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yards.
Did I go back far enough? I may not have gone back far enough, but this is from the yard. So we went out into the yard, and the interesting thing is too, so this whole prison here has been shut down because it's like 150 or 200 years old or whatever it is. And there's still active prison on the other side of the yard. So you're actually looking behind you. There was a gate open to the yard of the active prison. In that prison was famous for, I believe, several crazy people, including Jeffrey Dahmer was one of the big ones.
Wow.
So that was pretty creepy and pretty weird. The other interesting thing about this is that this is also the prison in Air Force One, the movie with, this is us driving back. There's some Amish people. I don't
remember we
got
stuck in Amish like rush hour.
Yeah, this was Amish rush hour essentially.
It
They were
was.
all heading back. There's
a line of carriages, or maybe I didn't get it on film, and we were like, "Whoa, we hit."
Yeah,
Amish
there's another one.
I don't think this is it, but still,
I just like the word rush.
That was
that was
Amish rush hour, because when you think about
it was more than that. There was a big long line of everything. That was not it entirely.
So Eric Davis says, "I'd get the heck out of there before nightfall." Yikes! What time do they close? So to your point, Trav, about how we live in such a litigious state in California, everything really seems like you're double and triple protected to the point where it's annoying. And then when we go to other places, even just in America, people just trust you to stay alive. and you guys both came back from that saying you got a little rattled at the very end because you felt like if you were still in there, they would have locked up and you would have gotten stuck.
Totally.
Definitely.
There's no active power in the place anymore, because why would they power it? It's a waste of money. So literally there was a security guard guy, which is basically a retired guy with a hat on, that sits at the front, takes your money in a box and lets you have fun. And so
he specifically said, "Don't touch the walls, it's lead paint." And I was like, okay. But there were so many little nooks and crannies. I mean, do you remember like all of those isolation?
We went to solitary.
If you just cowered down because you wanted to stay there like a ghost story night, and you wanted to stay the night, how could you not? They cannot comb that whole place for visitors. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Wow.
It was weird. And like not cordoned off big drops like 4 stories high where there's just a rickety little, I know what there was. And I was like, dude, I mean, one slip, Yeah. It was crazy.
If I had searched around a little more, there's a still on somewhere in our web stuff where you're standing at the gate. So I mentioned Air Force One. That was the I can't remember anybody's name anymore. This whole pandemic thing has really got me not using my brain anymore. But the guy that flew the Millennium Falcon and then was president of the United States.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah, Harrison Ford. If you saw Air Force One, the Harrison Ford movie, there's a Russian prison that the guys that take Air Force One hostage want to release somebody, and so he comes out the front of the prison. It's actually the same prison. It's Shawshank Prison that they filmed it at. And when Jennifer and I were there, they still had the front entrance gate from the Russian prison in front of the gate for the Shawshank prison, and that was made out of fiberglass. So they had like a big paved parking lot area. There's the entrance to the real prison, which was pretty run down. And then they built this whole stone archway that looked exactly like the real stone on the real prison. And that was so it would look like the Russian one. And there weren't even gates on either side of it. They shot it so where they could shoot through it as if it was the entrance to the prison. But it was really just a thing standing in the middle of the parking lot. Like it was just like an archway.
Right.
So there's a picture of Jen in front of that. It had like a rusty gate, like a big old creaky, like open the gate, you know, and all that stuff was fake. That was all movie stuff that was just placed there for the movie. We did go down.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, on that thought, the movie Brubaker was shot there too, according to Greg Toms.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Which I know I've seen, and I can't recall that movie, but yeah.
Judy's saying no tour guide. So no, Judy, that was the thing. It was there was nobody there. We were just saying Jen and I showed up, and there was a old guy sitting there with a security uniform who took like $7 each from us. You put it in a box, and then he just cuts you loose. He says, enjoy. It's not like when you go to, so for people in California, if you go to Alcatraz, it's completely controlled by OSHA, and they want everyone to be safe, and they've got ropes, and they give you like a Walkman with like a tour, an automated tour, or you can get a real tour guide for more money and all that stuff. This was, here's an empty prison, go have fun, go run around in it.
It's falling apart. Careful.
Yeah, it's falling apart.
Peeling lead paint and boogity like you can't imagine. Go have fun.
Yeah,
don't trip
seriously.
and fall up that 4-story drop. You'll be fine.
That would have gotten to me. I'm glad I didn't go.
Yeah, I mean, Jen and I were climbing up, you know, like going up into the stairs. They've got like those rotating stairwells. You go up there, and we're on like, I don't even remember many stories high it is. It's maybe 5 inside though.
Yeah, something.
It feels high. Like you're way up there. It's high for indoors, you know, like a 5-story high hallway. You're looking down like, I mean, you would die if you fall up this thing, but we could literally go into any cell we wanted to too. I mean, that was the thing. The cells were still there, and they still had beds in them. I mean, it was like gross. It was gross. Like they were full of peeling paint and spider webs and dirt and just
the solitary confinement down like in the dungeon and stuff. Holy hell. And then you remember the showers, the group shower thing. It was all incredibly, it was very intense. A lot of energy there.
Yeah. Well, that was what was so creepy about it is, so we're excited to check all the places out that the movie was filmed. It's like, oh, we got to go down to the showers, you know, like just twisted stuff like that. We got to go see where Andy Dufresne, you know, got himself cornered, you know. And we went everywhere. We went all those places. We went to his solitary cell. They actually had a little they had like little laminated paper things that they had printed and stuck there, so you could see this was where Andy Dufresne was in this scene. And they would take maybe like a still of the scene. I mean, we're talking lo-fi. It was like color copier and a laminator kind of stuff.
Wow.
Yes, wasn't like, you know. So we went and found all those places, but then, like I was saying earlier, when we were standing in those places, you're thinking, okay, the movie was a dramatization of what it would be in a place like this. But then we're thinking, this is a real place. There were people in here for years, like just creepy, you know? So
Larry Mitchell said, great place for laser tag. Larry, great place for laser tag is Gino and Kip's version of Who's the Man. When we drive along highways and see like an old abandoned chemical plant or a sawmill with just a million like ladders and stuff, Kip and Gino would one in the front, one in the back, not even talking to each other. They both go, that's a good place for laser tag. or actually, I think that would have been saying paintball or something more contact. But
is Larry actually on here? Oh,
yeah,
there
he said
is.
Great place for laser tag.
Oh, I see him. Okay. Should we take a quick side note on that whole thing since Larry's hanging out?
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So, first of all, since it's almost on the hour, let me throw this out there because I kind of this is how I break things up for the show. Jen told her joke already. I can't remember. I think last week, because Mark was on, I went with Mark's Who's the Man's, and I've been holding on to these Who's the Man's. If I said them already, I apologize. But here's this week's Who's the Man guitar players.
Stick around,
So
Larry.
always trying to find people from a similar era that are comparable, or maybe not comparable, but anyway. Rick Nielsen or Rick Derringer? Who's the man?
Rick Nielsen.
I think that's what I say too. He just pops into my mind all animated and fun.
Yeah. So is it Rick Nielsen because of the nerdy persona, and that he jumps off of the drum riser and runs around and has a guitar with 5 necks? I think
it's because of the band, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Too. The persona and the band. It's such a kick-ass rock and roll band, and he's such a dorky persona in it, but it's so great.
Yeah. Larry says Rick D playing wise, which I agree with. But
yeah.
He said Crazy Cool is Rick Nielsen. Okay. I agree with Larry. That's exactly where I'm at with the whole thing. Interesting side note about Rick Derringer. A lot of people don't know. Larry will probably know all this stuff, but obviously everyone knows he did Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Many people may not remember that he was the guitar player for Cyndi Lauper when she was like huge in the mid 80s, which I always thought was kind of strange because of where he came from, but it totally worked. He fit the bill really well. That's when he was playing like that little white Steinberger headless guitar. And then after that gig, or was it before or after that gig? It could have been around when that gig was happening. Nobody will remember this except maybe Larry, because he's, nerdy like me. On the Lifetime network, back before any of these people had network television shows on Lifetime, okay? That's back when they had Regis Philbin and his wife Joy had a show on the Lifetime network. And also Joy Behar had a show on the Lifetime network. Now, Joy Behar had a band, a 3-piece band, not mic'd up well or anything. It wasn't really geared up for live music, but the band was Rick Derringer's trio.
Huh.
Wow. Nice.
And going into commercials.
So random.
Right? And he was playing that white Steinberger. And they used to go into like commercials playing, old covers and stuff. Just like the Letterman band would. It would be that same kind of thing, except the production value wasn't as good. But and Danny says, didn't Rick D play a solo on Kiss song? That sounds very familiar to me as well. But
this is
and did the solo for "Eat It" by Weird Al, according to Greg Toms.
Wow, that's good.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, because Weird Al's had the same guitar player for like 40 years, but maybe he had him on the studio
That would be
track.
a good move on Beat It, right? Where you get the guest guitar player.
Yeah.
And Bruce now just says, doesn't Rick Derringer produce Weird Al albums? And so it would make sense, maybe.
That could totally be true. That's actually news to me, though. Now I'm going to have to dig into this. Now you've given me something to do with the rest of my Saturday night after we get done with this.
I think this says it all from Matt Tate. Nielsen, he has a 50-net guitar and Cheap Trick. Derringer rocked harder. Just all sides of everything.
And Vicky says, holy shit, never thought I'd hear Lifetime, Joy Behar, etc. in a TLV session. Vicky, I agree. I don't know where this is going entirely.
Well, we like to keep it hip. Hey, by the way, that's back when Joy Behar was the sidekick for Regis, and in my heart, or not Joy Behar, Joy Philbin, I'm sorry. Joy Philbin, Regis Philbin's wife, was his sidekick on that show. And for my money, should have always been the sidekick. He didn't need to get into the
time shows. Like, how have you seen these?
He didn't need to get into like Regis Lee and Kathy Lee and all the whoever these people were on there. He needed just his wife. His wife was great. Anyway,
I'm so far from ever having seen any of this.
Larry has a comment here that I can't even.
Very quickly, I think that we should send out, a certain condolences because Regis just recently passed. And I don't think we ever addressed that. And Travis was a huge Regis fan from the Letterman show and all of those things. And so rest in peace, Mr. Philbin.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I'm out of control. Anyway, me and my wife, Joy, we were driving to the podcast today. Anyway.
Very
yeah,
good.
Regis Lee and Kathy Lee and the whole gang.
I was listening to the local radio station, which I totally love here, and I stream it because I can't get antenna stuff. And that day they played tons of Regis. Evidently, he was a singer and recorded tons of music, but it was, like Frank Sinatra kind of style. So I was listening to Regis for like the whole day. It was so cool. I loved every minute of it. And I love that kind of stuff. This Frank Sinatra crooning music. And I guess I wasn't aware that Regis was such the entertainer, not just a TV personality and such, but it was great. So
Regis was a badass who his musical career got sidetracked by the fact that he became a TV personality. But before that, he was sort of, him and I told you I can't remember anything today. Who's our boy that sits in with Billy Joel sometimes at the Garden? You know who I'm talking about?
Guitar player?
No. Crooner, like you're talking about, old school crooner. Tony Bennett.
Yes, there you go.
I was going to say, with the exception of Tony,
like he was a guitar player.
With the exception of Tony Bennett, Regis was kind of one of the last of those guys. Like he was kind of like a second tier Rat Pack guy. Like he wasn't, like part of that, but he was like the last of one of the guys that was. He was like a kid hanging around those guys, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like when that was going on. So anyway,
Gino said everybody gets to be in the van tonight. I think
this is true. This is the epitome of the van right here.
This is actually probably maybe the most legit van hang we've had on the show without topic.
Yeah. We're really gonna let our guard down and you're just gonna feel out what it's like hanging out with TLB. You're getting close.
Matt says Tony Bennett is your boy. Nice. I think Tony Bennett is everybody's boy. Let me just say that Tony Bennett guy plays tennis. Guy's in incredible shape. He's like 90. Crazy. As was Regis.
So, out of nowhere, I know we've done a little bit of this before, but who's the man? William Shatner or Tony Bennett?
Well, that's such opposite spectrums. I'm not sure.
With regards to crooning and stylistic.
That's a pretty good though. Like there's sort of a self-parody through line. You know what I mean? Like
no.
Wait. I didn't mean to say something controversial there. I just mean like
I think William Shatner gets his own joke.
Well, but I mean, maybe. Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
That was not thought out. Who's the man? Just
I think if you're going to throw William Shatner into who's the man, it has to be with somebody like I can't think of his name right now. I'm not in. I don't have the brain set. I'm not sharp enough for 70s trivia, but like I was thinking more like who's the battery guy? Robert. What's his name? The actor that used to be on all the war TV shows and movies. That's more like a valid comparison in my mind. Anyway,
here's where I always feel like such a bad bandmate.
Yeah, remember the dare you to knock it off. Remember that guy, Duracell guy.
I always feel like such a bad bandmate because Travis is so entrenched in TV culture, and I just know nothing of it. I just feel like
Robert Conrad. Thank you, Vincent. I think when you're talking about like a Shatner-esque kind of an ego with that era of television and movies, you can't. Tony Bennett is a whole different thing. It would be Tony Bennett would be more. I was talking
about the singing aspect of those, the crooner aspect of those two, because William Shatner has put out a couple albums and such.
Right.
Yes, he's put out a couple albums where it's more like Lucy in the Sky. with diamonds.
I've
Okay,
seen
Tony Bennett versus Regis Philbin.
Tony Bennett versus Regis Philbin is more. That's more of a much more comparable thing, and that would just come down to Tony Bennett is like the generation ahead, so it's always going to default to that guy, right?
Got it.
Okay.
Like Regis Philbin would be the fan of those guys that wanted to be that, and he would admit that always. So Wayne Newton, baby, yes. Yes.
Old.
Okay, so
Right.
Gino says Shatner never crooned. Absolutely true, Gino. Bruce saying Leonard Nimoy singing Bilbo Baggins. Yes, we are all in the van tonight.
Yes, we are all in the van. Welcome,
is Larry still
everybody.
here? If Larry's still here, let me tell you this quick story.
I think Larry might have said something like he had a top of the hour thing at a radio station, if I interpreted that right.
Oh, like he's got to go somewhere?
Yeah, I said stick around, Larry, and I saw that.
Yeah. Sure you do, Larry. Larry's like, I don't know what you guys are going to talk about, but I'm out of here.
Oh, I like Sam's question. Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin? That's a good one.
Oh, Larry Mitchell is here.
That's a tough one.
Oh, he is here.
Or he's saying, yes, I had a top of the hour radio hit. I don't know.
Okay, so.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt the Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin.
Well, we'll get back to that, I guess. Larry's here.
Okay, so let me show this really quick, and then I'm going to tell the backstory, okay?
I misunderstood. Larry goes, no, you had the top of the hour things. Okay.
All right. So this is the 1 minute of happiness a week from Jen Majera, featuring Larry. We're going to talk about this after we enjoy.
No audio.
No audio.
No audio?
No audio.
Okay, hang on.
You suck.
I forgot to click the audio thing.
You can tease it.
I forgot to click my audio thing earlier, too.
Yeah, we didn't sound check anything tonight. It's not a professional operation. This is just in the van.
Really
all right,
everyone
guys, here we go.
I would like tonight.
All right, this should work.
Saturday bang. Boys are going units, we're one and the same. Now I believe in miracles, and miracles happen tonight. Oh, you're thinking about my baby. It don't matter if you're black or white. I'm tired of this job. I'm tired of this style. I'm tired of this business. When it's gonna get rough. Take it from here, Jen. Protection against assassination, causing grief in human relations. It's a tough war on a global scale. I'd rather hear both sides of the tale. See, it's not about races, different places, faces. Where your blood comes from is where your space is. See the bright getting duller. I'm not gonna spend my life being colored. You're thinking about my baby. It don't matter if you're black or white. You're thinking about my baby. It don't matter if you're black or white. You're thinking of my brother. It don't matter if you're black or white.
Bye-bye.
All right. So
nice. Yay.
Yay, Larry.
Yeah.
First of all, a couple of things about this. I want to see if I can find real quick. Larry's mom has a cameo.
That was great.
It's hard to catch because it goes by quick and there's a lot of stuff going on. Actually, I'll just tell people to go watch it later.
Yeah, right. They should go search.
If you go on YouTube and you look up Jen Majera 1 Minute Jam or 1 Minute Jam or anything like that, you'll find these. But so I did the one last week, and then around I don't know, Wednesday night or something, I get a call from Jen Majera, not Jennifer Young, saying I'm going to do my best Jen, not German accent, but sort of German accent. She goes, I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but she goes, the guy who was supposed to do the 1 minute jam just backed out. I'm freaking out. There's nobody to do the 1 minute jam. And so I'm like, hang on a second, give me 5 minutes. I could fix this. So I called Larry up, and Larry and I. So there's this kind of aside from you guys, there's this triangle of. So the thing is, Jen and Dale both have lives, and Jen goes to bed at night. Dale doesn't, but he has a life. So so occasionally I'll sit up all night, and Larry and I will end up FaceTiming together, and Jen and I will end up talking a lot. Like we're kind of all keeping each other sane while all these musicians are like home for the pandemic. And so Larry's always just sitting in his studio, like I'm sitting in my studio. So I'll like FaceTime and he'll be sitting here just like I am now. And it's just like, and he'll look to the side. What's going on, man? Like he's just always there. Right. So I did the same thing where I FaceTimed him and he answered. I said, hey, Jen Majera needs a guitar player for 1 minute jam. You would be perfect. You're like a real guitar player. You got a Grammy. It's going to be fantastic. And the song is totally appropriate, right? So he goes, yeah, send me the Dropbox. So in the time, and she's in Germany, so she's going to bed. Like it was like 2 a.m. there, and she's got to get up in the morning and go teach guitar students. So in the time that she was going to bed, by the time she woke up, Larry had the whole thing ready to go. Like he had learned the tune, filmed it, recorded the audio professionally so that she could get a good wave file from him, and all this stuff was like waiting for her in the morning. And I, again, not going to throw anyone under the bus, but I'm going to say the jam is 10 times better because Larry did it. Like it's absolutely, this is Larry's jam. This came out fantastic. So it was my little teeny part in facilitating it is great, but like Larry made this thing totally awesome this week. So that was a lot of fun to see.
I like yours, and Larry's the best. And part of my brain goes, well, it clearly is because I'm friends with Travis and Larry, but I really just think I like those the best.
Right.
And yeah, I like the part where Larry's just there and he's always 7 steps away from a world-class like engineering and recording. You can just make it all happen, like play, engineer it, mix it, send it off.
But what was great about it is in the video, there's this little clip on the breakdown where Larry's playing like these cool stops and stuff. And Larry's dog is in the background on the table. And behind the dog, you kind of see Larry's mom making sure the dog doesn't fall off the table. Just these little teeny snippets. So it's an Easter egg. You got to go find it. It's hilarious. And Larry's mom, I don't think she really likes being on camera so much. So it was kind of funny to see her back there, like just for a second, you're like, oh, is that Larry's mom?
How is Jean, Larry?
Yes.
Yeah, we love Larry's mom.
Yeah.
We've lived with Larry here and there throughout our touring lives, as well as he has lived with us. And when we stay at Larry's house, half of the fun is getting to hang out and have conversations with his mom. And last time we went through Opelika, Alabama, and played a gig there, Larry was on the road. We mentioned this before, and his mom brought Jen a plant, which is like the sweetest gesture ever. But Jen was on tour in a van. And so she brought her a plant, and then we went to Mexico where it was 111 degrees outside. And that's where
that
the plant
little guy survived the whole tour. And that was early on in the tour, and Mexico killed it finally.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. It
Bacon
was,
and eggs. Yes. Ew, you want some eggs?
Yeah.
No pepper.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a lot of fun hanging out with that, and Larry and I, we end up on the phone a lot, or it's always FaceTime. Like it's kind of like we're just sitting in the studio. It's like in the same studio. You just click dial, and all of a sudden you're like, "What's up?" Except the thing is, I think Larry is always being productive. Like, I mean, I guess I am in a way where I'm doing like technical research and stuff, trying to make this stuff work. Like, for instance, like the live streams and things, all this stuff around me. But and we're always a sounding board too. Like I watch Larry's live feeds every week, and then like if something didn't quite go right, I'll get in touch with him and say, hey, you need to tweak this. Or like I'll call him and say, hey, I want to do this. How do I do it? Or have you done this? So we've been the live stream sounding boards off of each other for this whole staying at home thing too. So that's been a lot of fun. But and that reminds me,
Jen, you sleep, and Trav likes to pretend I do, but it's not necessarily the case. So I just turn my phone off at a certain hour.
all I know is I have instructions not to bother Jen at night. She says, don't text me. It'll wake me up. That's the thing. But she'll leave her phone on.
3 o'clock in the morning. Yes.
Larry says mom is watching now. Sorry to interrupt. Hi,
Oh.
Jean.
Hi, Jean.
So she got like a little teeny Easter egg cameo in there. But so there might be more of this madness that you just saw coming in the future, but I'm not going to give anything away. But there's this triangle of us in 3 different time zones playing around with various silliness. So and that brings me to the next point. I'm not actually posting anything until Wednesday, but a week from this Wednesday, I'm going to do the next live stream concert from the treehouse here. And I was going to do it this Wednesday, but we have a few issues we need to deal with. One is that my guitar's not working. And I have some parts coming to try and get it working for the live stream.
I don't think I'd heard this. Wow.
Yeah, I won't get into too many details. They make great gear, and it's it's not really a gear issue as much as it is just things wear out,
Sure. Yeah.
But I need a part this week to get my guitar operational, the one that I need to play for that. And then I also have a surprise that we're not going to talk about yet, but I just kind of referenced it. So the next live stream concert is going to be great. Check Larry's out though. He's doing more of an acoustic one on Sundays, and then he does his kind of more electric one on every Tuesday. He's a lot more active than I am with these things. I feel like people are going to get tired of me, but they don't get tired of Larry because he's such a entertaining and vibrant human being. So we'll do this live feed, and then there may be some expanding of what happens with that live feed after that fact. Like the next one is a kind of an expansion, a trial expansion, and then we'll see how we go from there. So,
wow.
But I got to tell you, I really don't want to.
Interesting.
I don't want to just do live feeds the rest of my life. I can't wait until we actually can like make noise,
Yep.
Like real noise. So,
That was noise.
Am I missing anything this week? What else we got? We talked about the Facebook thing not being as big of a deal as it seems. Am I missing any questions from anybody out there? We have a couple of guests that we're not short on guests. We just haven't pulled the trigger on a few of them yet because we think this is going to go on for a while. So we've been having some surprise guests. It's kind of turned into a thing where the surprise guests have been kind of members of the TLB family or crew. And then if anybody actually knows who they are, we'll let people know they're going to be on. We don't really have a format. When we started out, the surprise guests were like Brian Beller. And then we figured we should probably tell people if people like that are going to be on. And then the surprise guests became like our sound guy and Mark Storm and Devin and stuff. So, but Brian, we do have more guests. Right, exactly. Steve says, plug signing up for the email. That's a perfect example of, so we were talking about all this Facebook stuff. Even if the Facebook thing doesn't change, we should encourage everybody to go to the website, sign up on our email list. If you go to the contacts page on the website, sign up on the email list. That way we can send you emails when stuff happens in case all this social media goes away or changes or any of that stuff. The other thing that I would mention is if you go to the other social media platforms, I'm now double streaming my live concert stuff from the the studio on Facebook and YouTube. So if you go find the Travis Larson Band YouTube channel and you follow it, I believe you get notifications when things go live and that sort of thing, and when there's events set up. So that's something to do just in case things change. Like all of a sudden, Facebook implodes or whatever, or any of these other social media things implode. So Dave says more Kip. Well, I actually tried to get Kip on here tonight, and he said he couldn't do it.
Yeah, he ducks.
Yeah, he said he was actually watching, but he couldn't do it. So I think technically, he wasn't technically set up at the moment, but he was watching from the studio. So
I was thinking this would be super random to the point of we could leave it out, but I was thinking I could tell a quick Brian Beller story since it came up organically, and I was.
Is there a quick Brian Beller story?
What's that? Yeah.
Joe called me last night. He called you too.
Yeah?
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe. I don't know that he wouldn't be watching.
Hey, wait a minute. Joe called you and he called called Dale?
I think.
Yep.
I didn't hear from Joe.
Well,
saving it
thing.
up. Yeah, right.
If he was a guitar player, I'd be worried.
Right. Yeah.
I'm talking about Joe Travers for anybody watching.
Brian Beller's friend and accomplice.
Okay, Brian Beller's story.
Well, since it came up, and I've told you guys that sometimes I'll keep track of a thing that I'll think about a guest, and it just doesn't come up during the interview.
Larry says Joe called him too, by the way.
Now everybody's just going to go like, he called me too. Trav, you didn't get a go. everybody don't talk about what. So,
I thought we were friends. I don't know.
So this thing I wrote down as a Brian Beller story, and then just kind of keep it around. And the reason I was thinking about it this week is that teaching online, when you're instructing, first of all, you're often talking while you're playing, and you're trying to feed a person information as they need to hear it. And then you have to sort of think one layer deeper, like, okay, they need to think this, but they need a half second to process when I say it. So you have to just say it a little bit sooner than you would think it, if that makes sense. But pretty soon that becomes an instinct. And somehow that got me thinking about Brian. Brian is such a great player, and yet he'll surround himself with people like Guthrie Govan and Marco, to where he seems like he's the not attention-getting player. It's easy for him to get, just to seem like I don't know what the word is, but he'll be a super badass player, but he'll surround himself with people who get all the attention. So this is sort of a story of Brian Beller's genius that I think I might be one of the few people to experience. This is another Joe Travers story where he doesn't make it to a sound check at NAMM. This is 2 X Jams ago. And, so Brian will say, Dale, can you sound check? And I don't really know Mike Keneally songs, but I'll play and sound check. And it sounded like they were just going to check on one of Mike's songs. And I was like, sorry, I don't know it. I should. It's lame. But Brian goes, I'll show you what to do. And he describes the groove. And then while we're playing, he'll say, okay, there's a section of 7 coming up. I'll tell you when. And then he says when, and then he corrects, and he turns back around and goes, 4, 7, 4, slow. Right. Okay. So I'm like, got it. And then he'll tell me when it happens. So we're playing in 7. And then he'll turn around. It's this thing I was talking about on 3 different levels where he'll go, okay, 5 coming up, but fast. And then I tried to think of how I could even do an impression of this, but I can't even imitate it. He would say the time signature, the coming up, count the last few beats of the existing measure because he knows I had to process that. So we're playing in 7. He's like, 5, fast, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom. And then he would start going 6 and 7, alternating, 5, 6, or like he'll say what's coming.
It's calling ridiculous
to process it. And he knows that I had to think about it, so I've lost my place. And so he'll count the last beats of the existing measure into the new time signature in a way that it was distracting how well he was doing it. I couldn't even believe it. And like we got done, and Mike kind of just jokes and goes, yeah, I think we're ready. And and I'm sure it didn't sound like the song, but I just remember going, I don't know this song. I literally... Brian hacked my brain and tricked me into playing a Mike Keneally song more or less correctly.
Right.
I wasn't even in charge of myself. He would just like took over everything I needed to think about. 3 layers back. I've really never seen anything like that or experienced.
The irony is that, that's kind of how he got the gig with Keneally, was being treated like that. It was like he got thrown in the fire so hard, like basically that was back in the Zappa days, and it was Mike and Joe Travers, and they basically they were just auditioning one guy after another, and Brian goes in there and he just goes, purple guitars, like 1, 2, 3, just go. And he goes, that would be great if we had like even said hello and gotten the sound, but it was like a 9-minute instrumental.
Yeah. And the part I didn't even say in my telling of it was, these are not easy parts Brian's playing, right? He's got to play crazy parts while he's thinking of what the drummer's thinking about and what to tell him and how to keep him on it. Like that's a weird type of genius that you would never see from the front of the stage. Like I would never know he could think that way.
Right.
Anyway, that's my Brian Beller story.
Kip says, hello to all. Mr. Beller is the most amazing bass player I've ever worked with. Absolutely amazing. Well, I think the second most amazing, but I digress. I used to go to the front of the stage during the show just to stand in front of his rig and listen.
Really?
Really? Like you needed to be in front of his rig to hear him, huh? There's a sound guy joke in there somewhere. Yeah. Anyway. Larry says, Jen.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Joe Narduli is here.
Can tell mine. The beauty of my Brian Beller stories, I can tell it.
Joe Narduli is here. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe. Hey, Linda texted me today.
Oh, hi, Linda. Hi, Joe.
Wow, you're getting all kinds of people getting in touch with you guys saying hello. And I'm sitting over here trying to get in touch with Larry every night to keep my sanity.
I think Linda just wanted to make sure we were still alive with the fires and such. So.
Larry, you and I just sit in our studios talking to each other every night, and all these people have friends.
They're just concerned.
We did have a quick question from Danny Peoples. He says, so do you guys actually sit there and say, I'm going to write this in whatever time signature, or do you even count it? It's a quick explanation that I've talked about before. When I write to a click track usually. And so I play free time for ideas that don't have a time signature attached to them. So I don't play to a drum machine that say is set to a 4/4 beat or something generally. That's not like boop, 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 boop. I'll just play to a click. So that way, if I play a random cluster of chord progression that ends up being 5 or 7 or something, and it sounds good to me, so be it. But it doesn't direct me in any direction. So I don't think I have a couple of times, like there's no right or wrong or rule. But generally speaking, I don't think I'm going to write a song in 7/8. I just write a song, and then usually Dale says, this section's in 5, this section's in 7. I think it's, or is it this, or is it that? He'll usually ask me, and then I'll say, I don't know. And then he'll say, okay, I'll figure it out. And then he tells me, like when we do clinics.
I've learned it helps to think like a guitar player. Once in a while, there will be a thing where, okay, it's in 6, and then it goes into a new thing, but the break is neither 6 nor the new thing. It's like, why is the rest 5.5 beats? And then I'll do the math and go, oh, that's 8 wheedlies or whatever. Like it'll be da 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 and stop, and Travis is just thinking da 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 da, and then go in. So doing the math is not always the obvious way to go. I will say too, and correct me if I'm wrong, Trav, I'm half speaking for you, but when you do that and play to a click, sometimes the click is on a faster subdivision than they might be thinking of. Because if you're doing quarter notes, it's going to keep you in that kind of pulse. Whereas sometimes I used to get demo tracks that were 8th or even 16th clicks, and that way Trav's not really constrained to a head bobbing thing at all. It can.
Well, here's what used to happen. This is the truth. This is how lo-fi we are. I had a recent joking conversation actually with Jen Majera about how she demos her stuff too, and how lo-fi it is. Now it's changed. Now we actually use Pro Tools and MIDI programming. But in the old days, Jen and I would record like a drum beat off of a Digitech GNX4 drum machine, and we would hack it up in Pro Tools. Like we were literally just record a drum machine, like I don't know, about like this, and it's just big do do kiku do do kiku do ku tiku, and then so if I had written a part to a click track to demo it for Dale, we would record that, and then we'd just hack like 3 off. So they'd be like, and you'd create all these messed up sections but it was the lamest, most lo-fi thing you could imagine, where we were just basically just trying to get the idea across. And then we would sit there. Just the fact that we were even able to drag stuff around, that didn't start until 3 albums in, right, Jen? Something like that?
2004.
Yeah. So like before that, I think we actually, like, I don't even remember what we used to do for drum demos.
We
First
had
album, we all worked.
You had the drum machine, the
Alesis or whatever.
Drum machine, and we had the Yamaha AW16G DAW hard disk recorder.
Yeah, but
or something like that.
That was Burn Season, right?
Yep.
I think there was a couple albums for it. I used to just get stuff with a clavier click sound.
And you used to go
the drum machine. So we would actually program this drum machine with a beat for the whole song and then demo it. Is that what we used to do before you could edit?
Yep.
For an album or two, though, it was just clicks. I think I just used to get stuff that went tuk 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 tuk.
It's possible we might have just played the clicks early on.
Way back then, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, early on, but at least by Burn Season we were using the drum machine, and maybe
Burn Season
would have been.
Yeah, Burn Season was the
would have
first.
been Suspension. Was Burn Season after Suspension?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
Burn
I
Season
think-
was the first digital recorded album.
So this was just Suspension then, because on the eponymous one we just worked it all up together, right?
Yeah, that's true. Right, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Suspension.
So, yeah.
I think we did most of that together, just in the studio. But there might have been a little click track action, like you're saying. So yeah, I think Burn Season was the first one with a drum machine for demoing.
I think I could be wrong. Anyway. Yep.
Sorry.
The ADAT XT20s on the first record and Suspension, and then we moved to Pro Tools on Burn Season in 2004.
Well,
There you go.
we actually recorded with that hard disk recorder, though. You and I did, Jen.
Right. We tracked on
Yeah.
the Yamaha, and then we took it into the studio and tracked the drums with Pro Tools. Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Jen and I tracked everything on this Yamaha hard disk recorder, whichever one that was, and then we took it, and that was the,
W60G or something like that. Gino's saying "so Van" right now. I know. I'm sorry. Memory.
Uh,
Kip says chili and hospitality. Thanks again. Is
Yeah,
that
Joe
good.
and Linda.
that's
Joe
Joe and Linda.
and Linda Narduli are the best. They are just.
Yeah.
Let's talk
That's
about
cool.
Joe and Linda for a minute.
Right? Go.
Well, first
You
of all,
go.
Ad Astra is a slam and fusion band that you have to
Yes.
check out on the out on Long Island.
Yep.
I sometimes I put on Ad Astra because it makes me feel. Kip just commented, "This is so fun to watch. Makes me feel human again." Similarly, sometimes on an afternoon, I will put on Narduli's album just because it makes me feel like I'm out there with those guys for a minute.
Yeah.
Like
And Eric
we would go.
is the keyboard player for Ad Astra. He's on right now. So
Yeah.
hi,
Yeah.
Eric.
Yep.
Yeah,
Joe
I
Eric
told
is,
Linda I miss him so much, and I'm bummed we won't be able to get out there this year. With the everything. So
those
Joe
guys
and
go
Linda are-
so above and beyond to support what's just music in general and specifically what we're doing. But
They're just beautiful people and both amazing cooks. Joe cooks great. Linda cooks great. I'm going to give her the edge, I think, but they're both amazing. and everything, like, it doesn't affect anything that Jen and I don't eat gluten. And there might be like different food requirements of that given to her. Everything is just amazing. You sit and talk and it's great. And then if you sit there just recovering and sitting and staring and then a new meal shows up in front of you. Wait, is it another meal time?
What's great about them is, as much as they lead a normal life, Like they get up in the morning like regular people. They don't have to do that when we're there. Like they're willing to. We'll get back from a gig at 2:30 in the morning and it's dinner time. That's what Dale's talking about right now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's on. It's like these guys should have been in bed 4 hours ago, and they're just
Usually
like,
Joe's playing the show with us too, so he's hungry as well.
yeah.
So.
And everything seems effortless. It's not like they're going, oh, hold on, let me get. It's always, well, I got this huge pot of chili going, and then we got this going. You need something? What? Like Joe's just been playing with us too. He should be out of his mind, frazzled, but he's just effortlessly feeding a group of 6 near-do-wells.
Yeah,
It's
Kip
great.
says this family cooks chili at 2 a.m. with all the fixins after the show. Absolutely true. Which is just, it's ridiculous because at that point you're kind of sitting there going, should I be eating a whole pot of chili? There's nothing. I am at no time, and Joe will find this hilarious. But being that we're professional touring musicians, at no time am I more gluttonous than when I'm at Joe's house. Like it's 2 a.m. I'm going to have a huge bowl of chili. Then we're having dessert, right? What are we having? You got some cake? You got a pie here? What's going on?
Fresh fruit. There's everything. It just goes on.
4 a.m. You're like thinking about going to bed.
And
people
they always set this up with all the leftovers. Like, here's a big bag of snacks.
Yeah.
Off you go.
That's the greatest. Eric David will come over at like 2 a.m, hang out. Yeah. Dave will show up. Yeah. Anyway, yes, that's
Joe and Linda and Ad Astra. Amazing band, amazing people.
Gino says all that's missing is the smell of hair products and the sound of sleepy baby men.
All right, we should probably wrap this up. East Coasters are probably like, what the heck? Although I guess it's Saturday. I was going to say it's Friday night, but it's Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday, but it's getting late for these guys that are responsible. And if we're not actually there to keep them up.
Matt says, when's lobby call?
Next day? I know.
Usually noon, I think.
Right.
All right, kids. All the support TLB links are in the description of this webcast. This has been a loose hang tonight.
Yes, Thanks to everybody for your.
Thanks for hanging
everybody
out.
With us.
Lots of cool stuff coming. Not much this week, but then after next week's webcast, we've got some cool stuff going on. I've got another live concert coming up. Check out Larry. If you guys don't know Larry Mitchell, look him up. Check out his webcasts on Sundays and Tuesdays. Go find the Jen Majera Black or White Jam that just got released today. Check that out, like in full quality, where we're not talking over it, and see the wonder of Larry's mom holding the dog.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Nighty night.
Thank you.